That's kind of how Wrestle Dream is feeling to me right now. It's not going to be a bad show by any means. AEW, if they know how to do one thing, it comes to the quality of their pay-per-views. They know how to do pay-per-view the right way. But the international title match right now, as I look at this card, is the only one that I look at where I'm like, okay, this match here I have to see. But let's run down this card so far, since it is coming up next Saturday, and I will give my predictions. We have Brian Cage against Atlantis Jr. on the pre-show for the Ring of Honor television title. You lost me at Ring of Honor television title. I presume that Atlantis is going to retain here. We might possibly get Hangman Page against Jay White. That is not official. It could very well happen on TV. If it gets made, though, I'm going with Hangman, even though Jay White just came back. I feel like after beating Swerve, the eventual direction for Hangman should be the AEW World title. And I don't think he should lose until he wins the world title. So I'm going with Hangman. Mercedes Moné. She might be defending her TBS championship on this show against Chris Statlander. Again, that is not official, but that is the direction. But if it does, I'm picking Mercedes to retain. You know, Chris Statlander, by the way, is now a babyface. Did you know that? I mean, you know that after Collision last night, but she is now a babyface. She no longer has Stokely Hathaway with her. And no, there was no angle done on TV to explain any of this. She had that great match with Willow Nightingale at All Out that she won. There was no angle coming out of it to explain the change and why she would have dropped Stokely. Tony Khan just did it. After turning on her best friend, she turned on Willow Nightingale, who is like the most beloved woman in the entire company, one of the most beloved baby faces in the entire company. And now she's just the baby face out of nowhere. And we're supposed to root for her because Mercedes is the heel or something. That's about as deep as this goes. And yet there are people who think that there's nothing wrong with the way that Tony Khan books. Everything is just hunky-dory. Speaking of out of nowhere, they announced that Emi Sakura is back from Japan. She's going to be challenging Mercedes on Tuesday. It is the lone title match so far that has been announced for this show. And she's going to be challenging Mercedes for both her TBS title and her New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Why? Because the video package last night said that she's in her 30th year in the business and Emi wants to finally win a title in AEW. So Tony Khan is giving her a double title match. The strong title I could see. What she has done to earn a shot at the TBS title, that was never explained. Darby Allin issued that open challenge, right? He got attacked last night by Brody King on Collision. So it's going to be Darby Allin against Brody King. And Darby thinks it's because he's never pinned Brody King before. Not in AEW, not on the indies, not anywhere. And Brody, owes his AEW career, in Darby's words, he owes his career to Darby. Everything he has in AEW is because of Darby. Darby was the one who told Tony Khan to hire him in the first place. So that is the story that they are telling going into this. There's the history between them, and Darby is looking to finally get a win over this guy. They need a reset with Darby coming off his loss to Jon Moxley, so Brody King gives him a mountain to climb, which is far safer than the actual mountain that he plans to climb next year. Mark Briscoe defends the Ring of Honor World Championship against the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. Jericho does not need to win the ROH title again. Big Bill, he needs to break away from him. So I'm going to go with Briscoe to retain with maybe a Big Bill assist backfiring to cost Jericho the match. So at least we get some story advancement out of this. Mariah May is going to defend her Women's World Championship against the winner of the match between Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale on Dynamite this Tuesday. I'm guessing it's going to be Willow, and they don't go with Britt as a challenger this quickly. But whoever it is, Mariah is not losing this match. Private Party, they beat the House of Black and Top Flight on Collision last night to earn the right to challenge the Young Bucks here for the tag team titles. I would like to see Private Party get a run with the belts. They never have. In 5 years with AEW, they never have. But to go from being destroyed by the Blackpool Combat Club and made to look like scrubs, basically, to then beating the Young Bucks to win the titles, I mean, it's too big of a leap for me to believe that they would actually do it. So the Young Bucks retain. Jack Perry defends the TNT Championship against Katsuyori Shibata. I mean, I like Shibata and everything, but again, this is just one of those matches for the sake of doing matches. And Jack Perry is not losing. Will Ospreay defends the international title in a 3-way match against Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. I am all for a Takeshita win here, but I like the idea of him beating Okada in the finals of the Continental Classic more. And I just don't see him winning here and then winning that too. So my heart says Takeshita, but my head says Ospreay retains. So I'm going to say Will Ospreay remains the international champion. And Bryan Danielson puts the AEW World Championship and his career, as he is doing in every match, on the line against Jon Moxley. This feels like a title change to me. Again, I think the reason that we're getting these Bryan Danielson matches so rushed is because he's done. Again, as a full-time performer, he's done. And they're going to wrap it up with him in his home state of Washington here at Wrestle Dream. Jon Moxley is the one who is leading the charge with whatever this new angle that they're doing is with him in the BCC. It's like he's fighting for the greater good, right? There's like a greater power. Remember when Vince McMahon was the greater power? It's me. It was me all along, Austin. I think that there's another McMahon here who is a greater power, and perhaps the reveal will come next weekend. I don't see Jon Moxley losing this match. I think Jon Moxley is going to be your new AEW World Champion, and for him, what would that be? Is that 3? 4? It's at least 3. He's had that title a few times. So that's the card for Wrestle Dream. Again, it will change a little bit more during the week. I think it's pretty full as it is, but again, some of the matches I mentioned are not official for the card. They may not end up on this card, but that is the card, and it is next Saturday night. So there will be no Collision next week. If you're a big Collision fan, you'll be very disappointed to find out that there will be no Collision next Saturday because of Wrestle Dream. And one last AEW note here, and this is kind of scary. Luchasaurus, or Killswitch, whatever you want to call him. The reason we have not seen him in several weeks is he is recovering after his fiance found him collapsed at home back on September 27th. He was rushed to the hospital where they found that his blood oxygen was below 80%. That is dangerously low. We're talking life and death. I didn't know much about blood oxygen until COVID hit. And, people were buying those little finger monitors and everything, and people were checking their blood oxygen to make sure it didn't drop below a certain level. I know 80% sounds high, but you drop below 80%, that's not good. And they determined that he had pneumonia in both of his lungs. And it was discovered that he was only days away from permanent lung damage, and he had no idea. So he's been on oxygen in the days that have followed. I don't know if he's still on oxygen, but he was. And there is no date at the moment for his in-ring return. Fightful says they got permission from those close to Killswitch before running their story. So wishing him all the best. That's very scary. And hopefully he is on the mend and he will be back very soon. Yeah, I forgot to mention one thing about Wrestle Dream. We still have Christian Cage is out there with that contract to cash in for a world championship match. I don't know how he might factor. Yeah, how he might factor into things. What kind of fucking accent is that? I don't know how he may factor. There we go. How did I say factor? Where'd that come from? What's going on here? It's my birthday. I haven't even had a drink yet. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to factor into that match, if at all. Maybe he won't. I still think Moxley wins the title, but I forgot to mention that Christian is still lurking.